Winner is involved in a Euro Tour quarter-final, but he's up against a resurgent Stephen Bunting, number 15 seed, into the latter stages on the European Tour stage once again. Gurney hoping to reach a first Euro Tour semi-final since the Dutch Darts Masters in May of last year, when he beat Stephen Bunting in the quarter-finals by 6 legs to 2. However, it was Bunting who came out on top when they met in the European match play in July of last year. 6-5 the score in that one. So one apiece in Europe in 2018.
Yeah, Bunting does shade the head-to-head stats. 6 wins to 3. But the thing is, 3 of those wins came back. Well, one of them was in the BDO and one in the very early days of their PDC careers. Since then, it's been one guy wins, then the other, then the other, then the other. So it's been very even over the last few years, very much since Daryl Gurney established himself as one of the top players in the world over the last couple of years.
And I mentioned Gurney getting to the semis of the Dutch Darts Masters last year, and it was the Dutch Darts Masters in 2016 where he made the final, his first European Tour final, losing out to Michael van Gerwen. Michael van Gerwen does not stand in his way this weekend. That's the difference for Gurney this time around, and that's the difference for many of the players left in the field as well.
Well, the one thing you can say in this half of the draw, all of the players know what it's like to win big stage titles. Daryl Gurney is a 2-time major champion. Stephen Bunting's a former world champion. Adrian Lewis, a 2-time world champion. Of course, Peter Wright, who's now departed, has won 6 of these Euro Tour titles, as Gurney cannot find 61st dart. But he is going to leave himself, tried to leave himself 30 there. Ball 25 ball. Okay, treble 20 for tops. Potential breaker throw coming in. If Gurney can pin the treble first dart, he gets 2 darts at double. And so far this weekend, that's been enough for Daryl Gurney. Is it enough here? Oh, no, it isn't. I wasn't sure.
Wasn't sure where that had gone. Anyway, that was a chance for a break of throw for Daryl Gurney, but he didn't take it, so Bunting is now returning, looking at tops then for a 1-0 lead. Double 10 for Bunting for the opener, and he can't make it pay.
Hitting single 11 is not what you want when you're going for double 8, because you lose a dart. And that's a bit of a blocker. But it's not blocking that bit. Great dart, Daryl Gurney.
Andy Bolton was the man that Gurney faced in his second round match yesterday. 6-1 the score in that one, 98.4 the average, 6 from 11 on his doubles. He's been fairly consistent on his finishing so far this weekend. 6 from 12 against Rob Cross earlier today, in that 6-2 win against the world number 2.
Well, Daryl Gurney's spoken in the last couple of weeks about having to get nasty. Being nice, Daryl Gurney, is not winning him things. He wants to get back to winning, tearing lumps out of players. Certainly working for him in the Premier League. Things going well. He made a Pro Tour final just a couple of weeks ago, and of course, it's back-to-back quarterfinals on the Euro Tour. Still think, well, we know he's got another level to reach. And if he can unlock that this evening, he could complete the set. Pro Tour floor title, major title, and a Euro Tour title. It is something he's targeted this year. Not many players have done it.
Not many at all. He's earned just over £216,000 in prize money since the start of September. As Daryl Gurney, he had that run to the semi-finals of the World Grand Prix, as well as that success at Minehead in the Players' Championship finals. Played in the Champions League, of course, in September as well. Had all the World Championship prize money. Not as much as he would have liked, of course.
Tops. 12 darter, breaks straight back, Stephen Bunting.
Made a final on the Pro Tour recently as well, did Daryl Gurney. Losing out to Chizzy, 8-6. in the final of Players' Championship 7, as Bunting threatens from the off in this third leg as well.
Yeah, he's really frustrated with that display in the final. Felt that he was in control of the game, but Chizzy was pretty relentless. Just managed to nick it away from him. But a good sign for Gurney. But he is back, threatening to win these floor titles. It is just a weird thing that he's got 2 major titles and only the 1 Pro Tour title. But it's also a sign that Daryl Gurney is a big game player. You give him moments and he rises to them. Incredible display in the final to beat Michael van Gerwen in Minehead and become the Players' Champion the back end of last year.
Well, you get that in other sports as well, where you get cases of players winning major titles, it's golf, tennis, whatever, and yet on the day-to-day stuff on the tour, they've done absolutely nothing. So Gurney's not unique in any respects. Just a bit of an issue in the crowd, actually. You can't see it on the camera, but hopefully that will all simmer down in just a moment or two. There you see it, just behind Stephen Bunting's shoulder. Hopefully that won't be a distraction.
Evidently the Peter Wright Ultras upset at seeing their man go out the tournament. Daryl Gurney doesn't get a dart at the ball, and Bunting can go into the lead here.
I think that's all been dealt with now, Dan. No room for that on the Euro Tour. No room for a double there for Bunting either, and Gurney's looking at 64 for a break of throw.
Loves this section of the board, Daryl Gurney. Absolutely loves it.
Camera glide up to double 8s. Camera moves to double 4. Camera focused on Gurney's reaction.
Three for double 1 then. Madhouse. 2-1. Well, Daryl Gurney, so solid on the finishing so far this weekend. It's not started well for him here. Plenty of time to turn that around. Oh, rejected. Just the 80 scored. Big week for Daryl. We'll be heading to Belfast, his home country in Northern Ireland, on Thursday for the Premier League, playing in front of his home crowd. That was always target 1 for Gurney. Just get past judgment night, make sure he gets to play in Northern Ireland. It's gone significantly better than that for him after a fantastic couple of nights in Rotterdam. Yeah, the German crowd have only got a lot more friendly in the last few minutes, haven't they? Just sing a little song between themselves.
Normal service resumed on the Euro Tour. That's what we like to see.
And normal service resumed for Daryl Gurney, firing in his first 180 of this contest.
Yeah, come on, Stephen, says Stephen Bunting. Trying to G himself up for this one. We've already had 1 break of throw apiece in this match. Bunting looking at 1-2-4 for another.
Oh, and with that, the chance evaporates immediately. He's going very, very left. 20 for tops. Just needs to make sure he stays well away from that gigantic dart that he's landed in the single 20. He does just. That's more like it from Super Chin.
Bunting just trying hard to keep cool on stage. It is warming up there. That's an 18 darter for Daryl Gurney. Had the 21 darter for a break of throw in the first leg. Bunting not the 180, as I thought initially.
That's where he wants to be missing, if he is missing the treble 20 Gurney, just above. And he's bamboozled there. How has he not come away with a ton or a ton 40 after that first dart? Shaking his head.
Two semi-finals on the Euro Tour last year for Daryl Gurney. I mentioned the one in Zwolle. There was also a run to the last four of the German Darts Grand Prix, which was the second event of 2018. He lost to Van Gerwen that day as well, 7-3 in the semi.
The one in Zwolle, I really thought that was when Daryl Gurney was going to go on and claim the title. He had MVG on toast in that game, and he let him get away from him.
Well, he missed a match dart at double 12 in the 10th leg. That would have won the match 7-3, and then he missed a couple more in the 12th leg for a 7-5 win.
That was the weekend that MVG won, and it was probably the worst tournament victory we've ever seen from him. He was nowhere near his best, and just people could not put him away. Daryl Gurney looked like he was going to do it, and had he done it, then... Was that the Ricky Evans weekend?
No, that was the Steve Lennon weekend.
The Steve Lennon weekend. Yes, could have been the All-Irish final, couldn't it?
Yeah, there was the Willie O'Connell weekend, the Steve Lennon weekend, the Ricky Evans weekend.
Look at this. 1, 2, 3. Simple. For Stephen Bunting.
Nicely done. You could say he's been sort of threatening that. He's been a little bit off on the doubles at times today, apart from in that second leg, but that's more like him, Bunting. That might just settle him down.
Dart for dart, these two in this leg. Darren Webster and Ricky Evans follows this in the other half of the draw. Then Gerwyn Price takes on Keegan Brown. Two unseeded players there in Ricky Evans and Keegan Brown.
Yeah, Bunting's just stolen a march here on Gurney in the back straight. Down to a finish first on the Gurney throw. That 95 was more than cancelled out by Bunting. Maybe that 1, 2, 3 could inspire him here. No, it won't. But he set it up beautifully just in case he does get the opportunity, and he might well do.
Double 12. Across the board for double 6. Really important dart and a bit of emotion from Super Chin. Well, it's not often you see Daryl like that. A lot of the time he spends trying to actively calm himself down. He says if he gets too emotional, if he gets fired up, his darts can go haywire.
Well, that's the cleanest leg he's had. He had an 18 darter, didn't he, in the previous one? And that 21 darter as well.
And maybe that 60 there, all quite high, was just a legacy of a bit of adrenaline. Oh, look at that. Daryl Gurney is a big scorer, but he is being completely outscored by the bullet in this one. He's been averaging 96 thereabouts for the weekend, Daryl Gurney, and yet he's some way off it here, but he's still in the game, and he's been doing this year, Daryl Gurney, finding ways, even though he's not playing his best, to win stuff, and that's a good habit to be in.
Well, he looks absolutely crushed with that sum 40. There was room for more. Bunting chips off a ton to leave 64. Gurney. Can he pull out a showstopper here? No, he can't. Bunting will return at 64 to just inch a little closer towards a place in the semi-finals in that meeting with Adrian Lewis.
Great dart. Really good stuff. 14 darter for the Bullet. 2 legs away from a first ranking semi-final since that European Tour event last summer in Hamburg where he beat Gurney. Just to put it in context about how much of a jump this has been for Stephen Bunting this weekend. Across the 8 Pro Tour events we've had so far this year, as Gurney puts in his second maximum. He's averaging less than 90 over the course of those. There are 87 players who are averaging more than Stephen Bunting on the tour. Oh, great response.
Terrific stuff from Stephen Bunting.
Oh, that hurts. Leaves him a bogey number.
Oh, Stephen needs to make the most of this. And he's not even down to a finish. That last dart could have been very, very significant, but it wasn't to be. Gurney's had a let off it. You see this from Gurney at times. The body language, it just isn't great at all. He seems to...
It's just the way. It's just his style, isn't it? He always tries, as I say, he tries to keep himself calm because he knows if he gets fired up, he can lose control of his darts. You'll see a big release of emotion every now and again, but hey, look. 2 major titles, do what you want, Daryl, because it's been working. Double 16 works for him. Vital for Gurney.
Despite those averages that you mentioned, or the numbers of people with higher averages than Stephen Bunting, every now and then he just seems to give a little reminder of what he can do. I thought a really good example last year was when he went down to Gary Anderson in the World Match Play. I thought he played really well in that first round match. And then just when you think he might go on a little bit of a run and start knitting things together, he just loses his way consistency-wise. It was a good summer for him, I thought, last year, with that run to the semis in Hamburg as well. Good performance in Blackpool.
Yeah, and mine Eddie was good as well.
But then hit that patch as well. And at the start of this year, 6 first-round defeats on the Pro Tour this year as well. But maybe this is the start of another productive spell for him. Maybe this is what he needs just to kick-start his earnings again, his campaign again.
Well, he's had tight games against Dimitri Vandenberg and Ian White, and it's got a little bit edgy at the back end of those games. Bunting has got over the line.
Yeah, Ian White missed 3 match darts. 3 darts at double 20 to get the score back to 5-all. Had it gone to a decider, obviously who knows, but 6-4 it was in the end. And White had been pretty much perfect on his doubles prior to that as well.
Well, it doesn't need to go bullseye at the end of this. Doesn't need to anyway, because he's pinned the treble 20.
74.
That is a bit of an issue. Bunting is a man who quite likes splitting awkward finishes. It wouldn't surprise me if he comes back and goes 6 or a 10 with his first dart.
45. Stephen, you require 14.
Not as much pressure as there might have been.
Yeah, so he may well do now.
Is it straight at it?
Looks as though it may be, yeah. Follow the eyes to the prize, Stephen Bunting.
Well, now or never, Super Chin. Hold, break, through to the semis. That simple.
85.
Well, he needs to win 2 on the bounce, and he's not done that so far in this match. That's the comforting thought for Stephen Bunting right now and his followers.
Yeah, well, the only time he broke the throw was in the very first leg, and Bunting missed a couple of darts in that leg. He might be relying on Bunting missing again if he's going to go and win this match.
Well, I mentioned that was those missed darts at double 20 by Ian White to level the match at 5-all. In response to that, Bunting took out a 116 checkout, and I thought it was a really good response. So if he does get into a similar situation, he might just use that as a way of reminding himself that he can hold his nerve at the big moments. That was an excellent visit as well by Bunting.
100.
He's been under pressure already today. He can deal with it.
85.
Chance here for Gurney, I feel. Certainly is now.
150.
Excellent setup shot. Daryl Gurney will return with 3 darts in his hand, looking at tops. And despite a few misses in the opening few legs, the finishing has been good. In the back end of this game for Daryl Gurney, you're expecting it to go. It does go, and we are going all the way. Gurney has had comfortable wins, 6-1 and 6-2 this weekend. Bunting has been in battles. Oh no.
Oh.
Well, I said it got a bit edgy in those games at the back end against Dimitri Vandenberg and Ian White. That is an edgy start, and he's just dished up a huge, huge chance to Daryl Gurney.
And the other thing for Gurney as well, he is showing gradual improvement as well on his legs. 21 dart break. It was an 18 darter for 2-2, a 15 darter, a 15 darter, a 13 darter. If he can maintain that improvement level, and if Stephen Bunting continues to give away points like this, then Gurney can steal it.
He's had 5 darts aimed at the 20 segment, Stephen Bunting. He's managed to hit it once so far in this leg.
58.
Bunting's got away with that. A little wonder he's taking a moment here, Stephen Bunting, just to gather himself, compose himself, and set himself up.
£6,500 in ranking money for making the semi-finals. Stephen Bunting, number 15 seed. That tells you that his position as a seeded player is under threat. Oh, fabulous.
And we had 5 sub-100 visits there at the start of this leg. Gurney has just taken control, and Bunting's nowhere near that treble 20 bet. That's more like it.
Daryl Gurney has got himself a chance. Unfortunate deflection there, but great adjustment.
Brilliant.
Daryl Gurney should get match darts from here. It's a question of how many. The finishing has been good from Gurney. It's got better as the game has gone on.
47.
Stephen Bunting has had a mare of a leg. 15 darts thrown, not down to a finish. Bullseye for Gurney. Single 17.
62.
Will mean he comes back with 3 darts for the match.
Yes.
Daryl Gurney looking to make the semi-finals on the Euro Tour to set.
I was just going to say 25, 80, 60, a ton, 47. He hit the treble 21st dart. In the end, it's only 83 anyway.
A real battle. But Bunting falling at the final hurdle, it appears.
Or so we thought, Dan. Or so we thought.
Wow.
3 match darts squandered by Daryl Gurney. Stephen Bunting needs the treble 17 that would have left the bullseye, but it's not going to be either, and it's back over to Daryl Gurney once again.
Very, very high with his first 2 last time. Trying to keep calm, to compose himself. And Gurney has done it by the narrowest of margins. Super Chin beats the bullet, and the world number 5 is into the semi-finals on the Euro.